That's what I thought. Yep. Saw the snow and I'm like, this is weird.
Yes.
Cloudy with snow and rain at times, and going to an inch can accumulate. High 32. Cloudy and cold with a snow shower. Tonight low 26. For tomorrow, clouds and sunshine with a high 47. I'm AccuWeather's Andy Brown.
And as we revise the forecast for the weekend, sunny and 75 all weekend long is what we're seeing on the on our weather forecast right now. As we welcome you into On the Throttle, that's kind of an inside joke. We'll explain it to you here in just a minute. On the Throttle, brought to you as always this time of day on Mondays by Napa Auto Parts here in Bryan Suburban Auto. AJ Dorr, Brian Ford Lincoln, Jason Dietz Customs Collisions, Trailers and Trailer Repair, and Fast Forward Motorsports. And with me, as always, Dwayne Hancock. And Dwayne, you brought a guest in who is very interested in that being 75 and sunny this weekend.
Yeah, and originally when I talked, I thought we was going to do a phone interview, and I'm excellent. Very happy he came into the studio. We have Jeff Hires with us. Jeff not only has been a professional Grand National motorcycle flat track racer for 15 years. He has now started this new adventure, this RPM Motorsports. Put on a few shows last year, and this year he's got a bigger schedule. And welcome aboard, Jeff, to On the Throttle.
Well, hey, thanks for having me. Like I said, it's always good to come in the area and help promote flat track motorcycle racing.
Well, and that's one reason when you had get you on today, because you got a big event coming up this Saturday in Paulding at the fairgrounds, and you got some other events all around. I mean, last year I think you just you did a few shows, like I said, gave some money back, more of I think a trial and error type thing to help raise some money, and must have went pretty good because now you got a schedule.
Well, my passion and my heart's into flat track motorcycle racing. I started racing I think when I was 6 years old, and so my heart's been in it for a long time, and a lot of Ohio tracks I raced on in the past, pro and as an amateur, and it's good to be bringing back some flat track motorcycle racing and trying to get some new venues on board. I know with Paulding, Ohio, I think it's first ever flat track motorcycle race on the horse track there.
Yeah, and you had a couple in Van Wert last year, and some of the pros came in, and being a pro, an old pro, which we was talking about this, there's not too much protection on these motorcycles, so that's why you probably got in the promoting deal, even though you still race a little bit.
Well, I'm 44 years old now, and it's a little bit tougher to heal up, after a broken bone, and but I still race a little bit, run the old man's class they call it, but it's still fast, the 40-plus class, and it's one of those things that you never forget to turn off the throttle,
right?
So it's wide open all the time.
He's saying he's always on the throttle.
Always on the throttle. No pun intended. No pun intended.
He fits really well around here.
That's right.
But yeah, Jim, he's kind of, every time we have a guest on, he tries his best for this weather deal, and knock on wood, 95% of the time it works. So we're praying for great weather for you on Saturday.
I've been watching this weather for a week now, and we're going to have a huge turnout. Racers and fans, and I really want that 80% forecast of rain to go down to 20% or no percent.
Well, yeah, because as we was talking before we went on air, a lot of people don't understand. They think a lot of general fans, you just kick the gates open and here you go, here comes everybody. You got food vendors, which has stuff lined up. You've been advertising all over the place with us. You got sponsors on board.
Yes.
You're driving around using your gas money to come to our radio show. I know you did a couple other radio shows. I mean, you're already out probably $3-4 grand and hadn't even cracked the gates open.
Well, thank goodness for Napoleon Harley-Davidson that came on board to be a title sponsor. The folks over there, they've done a tremendous job on working with me on getting this thing off the ground and moving. And with that being said, go check Napoleon Harley-Davidson out. You can check them out on the website at h-dsales.com. You can find them on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. The address over there is 862 American Road, Napoleon, just off Route 24. I believe they've been around since 1962. They offer a riding academy over there, on-site museum, a large selection of new and used Harley-Davidson motorcycles, a large selection of apparel and parts, and master Harley-Davidson technician in their service department. They're well known for their great customer service over there, and they also have a hog chapter. So I've been over to the store a couple times, and man, what an awesome facility.
It is, and when I used to have my Harley, I was a frequent visitor there because it doesn't matter if you're a Harley guy. Well, I had my Harley for 8 years. You're always stopping at the Harley shop because you always got to buy something. It's like racing.
Yes.
I mean,
right.
there's always an accessory. Oh, man, it'd look a lot nicer with that. And then you walk in there, and it's just like opening up your wallet. It's kind of like going to a strip club. You just throw your wallet up in the air.
Right. Well, that's been a few years for me on that. Yeah, maybe back in my pro days, now I'm a little older. They just look at me and say, oh, you look like a grandpa.
That's right. That's for Jim. Jim knows what I'm talking about.
It always seems to work this
right?
way.
Hey, they don't have any of those in Bryan, Ohio.
No,
I didn't think so.
But no, yeah, it's a great place to go, and like I said, and I'm glad they came on board to help you because I really like what you're doing. You got Paulding here, like I said, Saturday, and hopefully the rain holds off. And if it does, sounds like you got a backup plan too.
Well, yeah, I think what we're going to do is, I will monitor everything throughout the week, and as the event gets closer, one good thing about Paulding, Ohio, the racetrack over there, it holds a lot of water, and they got a great drainage system over there. So as long as it maybe if the weather comes in Friday night, and we get some clearing on Saturday, we'll be able to work things in. And if not, we're going to plan on Sunday for the rain date, and they're calling for rain on Sunday too. So if Sunday doesn't work out, then I think we're going to try to put it in for April the 21st, the following Saturday.
So that's cool that you got some backup plans. And now Paulding's not the only deal. I mean, that's our big deal and reason you had on because, that's coming up this Saturday. But I know you got a big event, June 26th, Peru, Indiana at the fairgrounds, which is a neat fairgrounds. They have a lot of mini sprint races and stuff, so it's a race cultured fairgrounds already.
It is. I went down there last year, and I rode the Harley down there, and a nice little trip down there, about an hour from Fort Wayne, and I wanted to go check out the track, and it's kind of in my backyard. So I went down there, and man, I was very impressed with the mini sprints down there, and I thought, what a great facility down there. I know they're building some new grandstands, and so we've got that on the schedule. It's on a Tuesday night during the fair, and we got a $5,000 purse for the amateur racers to come in town and put on a great show.
Yeah, that's a nice purse for amateurs. And I know you're working with Van Wert. You got a couple scheduled, hopefully some dates there again.
We've got them June the 23rd, which is only 3 days before the Peru race.
Yep.
It's going to be a busy week, yes. And then October the 20th. And I'm working on a couple other venues. I'd like to try to get 8 to 10 on the schedule yet this year. I'm working around other promoters, and you don't want to really step on anybody's toes and take racers away from each other. So doing my best to try to do that, and that's why I've got an April 14th race that it's kind of a crapshoot, so to speak, because the April showers bring May flowers. So,
right.
So but right now it's been snowing, so I don't quite understand that.
Right. Well, and that's excellent that you're working with the other people because. I've seen so many, because I traveled a lot of races, different aspects, so many people fighting against each other. And that's one good thing that I've seen you do. You schedule when nobody else is, or, don't step on anybody's toes. Sure. And you're bringing short track, flat track motorcycle racing back to the local fairground. I mean, there's a lot of history there. Just in bringing the amateurs and the way you got some of these schedules, you never know who could drop in. And being an old pro yourself, as well as I do, off days, pros still like to race, and they got to keep in shape, and they like money.
Well, and here's the thing: it's all about seat time,
right?
If you're not racing for 3 weeks, I know the pros have 3 weeks off before they go to. They just were in Atlanta, Georgia, and they have 3 weeks off, and they're going to Texas, I think, in 3 weeks. So they got some downtime for 3 weeks, and hey, in order to keep sharp, you need seat time, and if that means hitting a local fairgrounds race or traveling a little bit of distance to get some seat time, and the good thing is this is the first they were in Daytona Beach during
Right.
Bike Week racing,
Yep.
but this is the first pea gravel cushion half mile of the year, and I know a lot of those guys love the half mile cushion, and let it fly sideways at 100 mile an hour and eat some pea gravel.
Well, I tell you, you're doing great on social media. You did a couple bikes, went over there and tested at Paulding here a couple weeks ago, and I actually have a couple customers over there, and they're just driving by, kind of checking it out. And I know a lot of people in the area is excited, and they start hearing those bikes crack open. I think you get this little circuit going. I think it's going to be a nice little fan following in this area.
No, absolutely. And, I actually tested over there on a 600 road tax. That's kind of what I was brought up on. My longtime sponsor, Jeff Helm. He's back racing again, having a little fun at age like 52 or 53 years old. And he came over, so I got to test on the road tax. And man, it's a fast track. I think it's going to be fun. And, it's interesting you say that people are going to hear motorcycles. There was a couple kids that came over that were at their house not too far away, and they heard the bikes going around the track and came over, and man, they're excited for the race to come up and sharing with their friends. So, I just hope we get a great turnout. First and foremost, hopefully the weather cooperates with us, but the rumor on the streets is that I got guys coming from Pennsylvania, New York, Wisconsin, all over the place, and in order for us to come back, we need a good fan turnout,
right,
and support your local fairgrounds racetrack, and come out and see some 100 mile an hour wide open flat track racing.
And that's another thing. You're keeping it affordable. You're having it right in, a lot of these fairgrounds are right in town.
Yes.
Like I said, here's kids playing, which, nowadays to get them out of the house is something. Hear the motorcycle go out there, and I think that's going to help you too, because one, it's affordable. You can bring the whole family. You're right in town. It's going to draw interest, and it's going to be, they don't have to travel.
Right.
A lot of, or some of these big adventures that are, some of these venues are far away, cost a lot to get in and that.
Right.
I mean, you're keeping it family friendly and affordable.
Well, racing, whether it be four wheels or two wheels, it's all about family.
Yes.
And, it's $10 for ages 7 and up to get in, and 6 kids 6 and under are free.
Yeah.
And where can you go watch some great racing for $10? We start practice at 2:30 in the afternoon. We start our heat races at 5, and main events start at 7:30. So by the time we're done, we got 8 hours of action, and for $10, that's money well spent, if you ask me.
Definitely, and like I said, if you've never been to a motorcycle race, all of our listeners, go do yourself a favor. You got guys on 2 wheels running inches apart, sometimes rubbing each other at 100 miles per hour, and one thing that sparked my interest here, you said there's an older class.
Yep.
Do you have like 60 and older, and we get Jim on one of these things? He can go 100.
Well,
he might go 15
right,
on the bike.
Right. Hey. We've got ages, kids on 50cc bikes that are 4 or 5 years old, and then we've got the 50-plus class, old experts that, are 65, 70 years old that, hey, I'm telling you, they're no slouch. I ran in a race last year in Lebanon, Ohio, and a guy by the name of Jack Warren out of Michigan. I think Jack's like 72 years old, and he went by me like I was standing still, So you never, no matter what the age is, you never forget how to do it. It's like riding a bicycle.
Well, and that's one thing you got. You got several classes, I think, each deal, and you have stuff for everybody. The kids, that there's different age groups and different things, and that makes a neat little show too.
Well, it does. We got 15 different classes, and one thing I learned from the Van Hort race in October last year is we've moved everything up 2 hours this year. We didn't get out of Van Hort until like 1:30 in the morning. We had an unfortunate incident that a gentleman, he had to get airlifted, and he's doing okay now, and just finally got on crutches, and 6 surgeries later. But I thought, man, we had a great turnout in Van Wert, 115 racers.
Yes.
And so this year we bumped things up a little bit because nobody really wants to sit in the stands till 1 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
And I know I'd like to be out of there a little sooner than that. So it's been a long couple weeks, and this week I'll be totally committed during the week here, getting ready for Paulding. I have a construction company, and got my guys pretty much caught up on stuff there where I can fully concentrate on the Paulding race.
Well, I tell you, typical racer. I mean, all the racers have a job, and like I said, there's the passion. That's what we're doing. Like I said, whether it's 2 wheels, 4 wheels, whatever. I mean, you're working 50, 60 hours a week to pay for your passion, and then you're doing another, 20, 30 hours a week in the passion deal, and people just don't get that. That's not around the sport.
No, well, and back when I was racing pro, I was traveling, I was working full-time for a family-owned construction company, and, I was putting in 40, 50 hours a week, and then trying to work on motorcycles, and then I would take and, leave for Charlotte, North Carolina on Friday night, and drive all night, race Saturday night, and then drive all night long back home to be back to work on Monday. So a lot of people, it's you do it for the money. Well, not really. You do it for the love, because now, thank goodness, there's a little more money involved with it's a good time to be in flat track racing with Indian coming back on board, and Harley Davidson being rivals again. So money's there now for a lot of the riders, but it's more heart and passion than anything.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, talking about money now, I got to step in. We got a nice little conversation going on here between Jeff Hires from RPM Productions, Promotions, and they're talking about flat track racing and a big event that's going to go on this weekend. Once I get the weatherman cleared out and everything taken care of.
That's your job on this deal.
Hey, we're coming back to you if it doesn't work out.
It's always my job to provide weather, and I am up to the task most of the time.
Perfect.
With that, we've got to pay some bills here. It's 23 minutes after 12 o'clock here. You're on the throttle on the Q96.5 FM.
Collision & Customs is Northwest Ohio's largest trailer dealer with over
Back here on the throttle on a Monday afternoon, talking flat track motorcycle racing here, and I tell you what, if all you need, Jeff, is a little bit of better weather for the weekend, I got you covered, man. I made that comment, I made the phone call over the break. So anybody looking for some motorcycle racing right now, plan on it this weekend. Here.
Perfect.
How's that?
Did you make that call to God?
Yes. I'm the only guy. I'm the only guy. Basically, that's the reason I'm here. I'm not really a racer by at all.
Right.
Dwayne keeps me around because I have connections where he doesn't.
Right.
Okay, he prays a lot.
Right, of course.
Oh God.
Well, you know what I'm thinking is, maybe get more fans out there. We put you, suit you up in leathers and a helmet, and let you go around at 100 mile an hour, and let the fans check that out. What do you think?
There you go.
I think that would be probably go about maybe 100 feet.
Hey, you said stunt racer right out there.
That's right.
Little Evil Knievel action.
That would be more appropriate.
Right,
to
right.
describe the way I'm going to race.
Absolutely.
That's right.
Up over the fence and into the stands. And
Yeah.
then go, did that guy get hurt? Oh, don't worry about it.
No, give him a cup of coffee.
He'll be okay, man.
Right.
He's a tough old bird. He'll be fine.
That's
Right.
right. Well, that's why we got we got a couple of local racers here from in town that does the amateur circuit. And last year, the one asked me, he goes, He's telling me about this class where he goes, oh, they only go about 35 or 40. He says, I'll give you my bike. You can run that. And he says, or you can run my big bike. I'm like, how many hog barns in there? Because I'm going to be flying through the middle one.
Right.
Because I'm not real smart, and I won't let off when I come to the corner.
Well, I tell you what, I've been busted up a little bit over the years, and, it's no fun, if you're crashing from 140 mile an hour down to 25, 30 mile an hour, it still hurts no matter what. I've had a few broken bones over my career.
Well, and speak about that a little bit. You as a professional racer on the big boys of flat track motorcycle racing. I mean, you've done this for 15 years and seen many places, raced against some of the best Grand National guys in the world.
Yep.
I mean,
absolutely. Yeah. Unfortunately, with speed, you're going to have some bad endings,
right?
And I saw some guys get killed over the years, and it makes you question things a little bit. On the ride back home, and hey, is this really worth it?
Right.
But like you say, the passion's there, the heart's there, and hey, if that's what you want to do, and get your adrenaline rush out of that, to me, that's the way to do it.
Oh yeah.
How does a guy get involved? Because I've always, I've been around a little bit of motorcycle racing myself to watch, not to race.
right.
But it seems crazy enough to a non-racing fellow like myself that you'd want to hop in an automobile, at least with steel around you, with 4 tires on the ground, okay, and go bouncing around a track at 100 miles an hour. What in the world would ever possess a guy to hop up on 2 wheels, okay, and go shoulder to shoulder around these tracks at 100 miles an hour?
Well, no brains. No brains, and the rest of the story. But my roots came back from my dad. My dad he raced as a back then it was called novice junior expert, and he became an expert racer back in the 60s and early 70s, and that's kind of where I got my foundation from. And unfortunately lost him to cancer when I was 19 years old, really right when I was coming up through the ranks, and he was 45 years old when he died.
Wow.
And so that was a tough pill to swallow because I lost my mechanic, my mentor, so on and so forth. So my dad, and it was tough going to the races because I'm over there wrenching and it's 100 degrees outside, and I'm wrenching on my own bike, and I look over and there's a kid over there drinking Gatorade and his dad's wrenching on the bike, so I felt like I got cut short, but hey, what do? You move on, and you do your best, and I ran the 883 Grand National Circuit, and I think the best I finished was 10th in the nation, and I think I made like 18 nationals over the years against some of the best, and I'd never change anything in the world for it.
Wow. Do you have kids that are racing at this point?
Well, no, I got 3 girls, and there's a couple girls out there that are racing on the Grand National level, and they're fast, but with my oldest, she's 16. She plays softball at Homestead High School, and I say, hey man, it's a lot safer, and and then my other ones, my youngest are, I've got Bailey who's 8, and actually 9, I'm sorry, and then Morgan who's 6, and sometimes they go to the races, but they think the noise is too loud, so I don't think that's for them, so they might be my doctor, attorney, or something.
There you go.
Now,
so,
let me ask you this: if one of them all of a sudden changes in the course of the next couple of years and looks at Dad and says, "Hey, Dad, you know what? I kind of got the bug."
Right? Not a chance. Not a chance. And quick story: I was in Harpster, Ohio, a couple years ago, and my oldest daughter, was on this little XR70 that I had, and she's 16, going against these 6-year-old kids. And I thought, what kind of damage can she do?
Right.
It's a big wide track, and just let her go out and have a little fun. And
there you go.
Next thing you know, she's going off the track, cartwheeling, and I said, "Yep, you're pretty much done. You're sticking to softball." Yeah. And all she kept telling me is, "Did you see me fly through the air?" I go, "Yeah, that's not a good."
It was cool, Dad. It was
awesome.
Cool.
It's amazing how that changes, isn't it? Huh?
It does.
For you doing that personally at 25 years of age.
Yeah, right.
That's one thing, but then for you now, watching your kids doing the same things, it makes it a little more difficult.
Well, I've been around a lot of parents, at the track, obviously, and their kids are racing, and parents that used to race that I used to race against, and
Right.
it's more nerve-wracking for them.
Oh, yeah.
Than what it was for us racing. Because you're in control. When you're racing,
Right.
so to speak. I mean, things happen, but excuse me. But when your kid's out there racing and things can happen. You've seen things happen that puts things in a little more perspective.
Oh yeah.
It really does. Biggest event and biggest moment of your professional life while you were racing. What is there one that just comes to mind immediately when you think back?
Well, we talked about Steve Moorhead a little bit, and I was running a indoor short track, and hopefully Steve's listening, and because I'll never let him forget.
There you go.
But
we can make sure that he hears this because we're streaming, so we'll have this.
Exactly. So I was racing an indoor short track in Columbus, Ohio, and you had to win your heat race to get to the main event. And it was a stacked field, and Steve Moorhead was in my heat race. Here's a guy that I idolized a little bit, and I think he even raced against my dad as a novice or a junior, what have you. And he 5 guys on the front row jumped and went to the back row, and I was the only one left on the front row. And so 10 laps, and I led all 10 laps, and Steve Moorhead came up behind me with 2 laps to go and was trying to knock me down and knock me off good old short track racing. And he ended up crashing in turn 3 and 4 there, and I went on to the main. And, last I knew, some fans said he kicked the pylon. He was that mad. So that's probably a highlight of my career there, beating Steve Moorhead, one of the best. And it was on a short track. Anything can happen, but it was good, and I think we got third that night in the main, and won like $300, and went out and had some cocktails afterwards.
There you go.
That's right.
And the rest is history.
Well, that's right.
That's fun.
Well, that's cool, and that's the thing. Like Jim said, I mean, what's it like going 130, 40? I mean, I've rode motorcycle forever. I've had a little Honda 70 when I was 3 years old, and this is the first time in my life that I haven't had a bike in last 4 or 5 years. But how out of control does it feel going in the corner at 130, 140 on one of these peak gravel tracks?
Well, the peak gravel tracks, like the half miles, such as Paulding, we'll probably be hitting speeds up towards 100 mile an hour.
Yeah.
And it's really crazy when you've got, especially off the start, and you've got, let's say, 17 in your main event, and you're going, especially if you're on the second or third row, you're behind a lot of guys roosting you with pea gravel.
Well, and you're going 3 and 4 wide at times.
And you're going right. You're going 3 or 4 wide, and you stack on your tear offs, and hopefully you get through the melee and do your best. But it's a little gnarly, going into the corner at 100 mile an hour and pitching it sideways. And sometimes the fast line's right up by the fence, so you're pitching the thing off in there and riding right up by the fence, and one little mistake, that could be a disaster. But like Springfield, Illinois, the biggest race of the year, the big mile track over there. You pretty much 2-wheel the thing around there. It's the fastest mile in the country, and I know their speed's 135 to 140 there, and
they actually get a draft going.
Yeah, we get a draft
on
going.
Motorcycles on a mile track.
Yeah, we get a draft going like NASCAR, so to speak, and you go 3, 4, 5 wide in at Springfield, and you take, and sometimes you play out there on the front straightaway, back straightaway. You reach over and tap the guy beside you, and I had one racer, Scotty Stump, that was a 883 champion, and great guy. He went by me one time and gave me the number 1 sign. He was having fun with me. So and that's what's great about it. Everybody, there's no animosity because you don't have room for that.
Right.
With dirt track racing.
Oh yeah, you really got.
You see a lot of that in Supercross.
Right.
But the speeds are a lot less.
Right.
And with flat track racing, the speeds are so high that you can't be knocking a guy off at 100 mile an hour.
Right.
Things happen, but not on purpose.
Right. You gotta that's the second aspect. Like you said, you're starting going to the corner 3, 4 wide. One of you is bouncing the right rear off the guardrail. Another guy, you really got to have a lot of faith and trust in that guy on the inside of you because it could be bad right away.
Well, and you do, and things happen. It's racing, and that's all part of the sport. 2 wheels, 4 wheels, 1 wheel, whatever you're riding. But I mean, you do trust the guy beside you, and you just pray and hope for the best, and but you know, racing motorcycles is dangerous sport, and sometimes you make it and sometimes you don't.
Right, that's very true. Just like any sport, or you know, any auto racing sport,
Yes.
you know,
Absolutely.
and you pray for the best. And you know, the worst part is all weather dependent on this outdoor deal. So
Yeah, well, you know, and you know, you're talking about the four wheels and the roll cage.
sure.
You know, I think when you fall off a few times on a motorcycle at 100 mile an hour, you start to think, man, that roll cage and four wheels sounds a whole lot better than my body flopping across the ground. You know, so you know, cool story. A couple years ago, was when I was in Harpster, I took the girlfriend over there, and first time ever she'd seen a flat track race, and on the way over, she's like, "Hey, have you ever crashed?" And oh yeah, I crashed a few times, you know, and didn't want to get her too freaked
Right.
out. And so I'm out in practice, and you know, I'm flying in practice, and maybe showing off a little bit, I don't know. And I go in turns 3, you know, 100 mile an hour, and crashed and lost the front wheel and went flopping across the track. And she goes, "Oh man, I thought you were gone." You know, I said, "No, it's just a little 100 mile an hour get off, no big deal."
Right.
So just you know, you get back up, brush it off, and you move on.
Yeah.
So,
You
Put the tire
only
back
way
on
you'd
and
get-
go.
Only way you get me on a bike like that, even going at like 35. You know those big suits they do with
the air suits like the Michelin Man.
those
Right.
suits, if you put me on a motorcycle like that with one of those big suits,
Yeah.
I might do 20, 25, maybe,
25?
as I'm
Right.
turning that corner. So that would be a situation where you know I might be able to do something like that.
Well, maybe we could find an old sidecar. You know,
Yeah,
any old sidecars there,
you
Jeff?
know,
We could-
well, you know what? I was in Springfield one year for the mile race, and a big event, big Harley, you know,
Right.
big Harley
Oh, yeah.
event at the time, and I was at the hotel, and guys are drinking beer and partying, and this one guy's like,
What?
"Hey,
That
no,
race
yeah,
stuff?
right."
What? Oh.
He goes, "Hey, you want to ride in this sidecar?" I've never been in a sidecar. It's like midnight. I got to be up at 6 in the morning to get to the track, and so I go for a ride with him in a sidecar. He's tilting the thing, you know, at 60 mile an hour sideways, and I'm up in the air, and I thought, "Oh God, I'm going to come all the way to Springfield, get killed on the road, and not even make the event."
Get
You
killed
know?
at the motel.
Oh my gosh, I came back all wide-eyed. I was like, I don't think I'll be doing that again.
I like this. It sounds like some of my adventures.
Oh yeah.
It does. Hey, I need to take a break real quick. I've got a person on the line that wants to ask a question of our guest right now. And to make it
Sweet.
easier, we'll actually get the question during the commercial break and then answer it
There we
once
go.
we come back.
Perfect.
We're on the throttle. It's 20 minutes before 1 o'clock here on the Q 96.5 FM.
Sweet. Yeah, that's the first time we've ever had this happen. Well, one good thing, a lot of factories play this radio station.
Yeah, right. That's huge. Right.
Final few minutes here with Jeff Hires from RPM Promotions, and the caller basically, Jeff was asking. He said he's been around racing quite a bit, a lot of motorcycle racing. He said, first of all, explain to him what in the world a pea gravel track is, and secondly, why would anybody want to race on it? How's that?
Well, pea gravel's pea gravel, such as stone, you put for backfill in for, your culverts or what have you. So Paulding just happens to be a mixture of some limestone, a little pea gravel, and a little sand in there. And so, a lot of the surfaces we race on in Ohio are pea gravel limestone tracks, and it's just the way a lot of these horse tracks are built, and it makes it a lot more interesting for the fans, and it puts on a good show.
Yeah. And the other side of it, obviously, everybody knows what pea gravel is at that point in time, as you alluded to earlier, with that at 100 miles an hour or 85 miles an hour. You're throwing pea gravel. Yeah,
and even wearing your leathers, you get blasted by an XR 750. You come in and that it's like really a shotgun going on.
Oh yeah,
and it puts welts on you, and that's through your race leathers. So you can imagine what it does to your shield, face shield. You got your tear offs on, but you run out of those tear offs, it's chewing away at your race shield.
Wow.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's just like a regular dirt track. The stones and the rocks bounce a couple of stones or rocks off your helmet. The motorcycle guys are getting blasted with this gravel at all times.
Well, like the Lima Grand National race, the end of June every year. People stand around the fence.
Yep.
And that's part of it. That's part of the old history of some cushion flat track motorcycle racing is standing around the fence and having a couple beers and
that's right.
Eating some of that dirt and pea gravel, and then you get the full effect of what it feels like out there, except you don't have a helmet on, so
that's right.
You're just getting sandblasted.
You just got to either turn your head or
right.
But exactly. Most guys ain't. I fit right in the mentality of not being smart enough to turn my head, so I get blasted.
Right, because you're trying to see the race.
That's right.
You don't want to miss 1 second of it.
And that's one neat thing. That's what I think is so neat about what you're doing is you're bringing that back to these smaller fairgrounds and stuff. I mean, Lima, a lot of our listeners I know go down to Lima every year for the Grand National, the big race. And there's Grand National race on the peat gravel kind of track.
Yeah, and you know what? It's fun. Lima's been around forever. I've raced Lima a lot of times, and with me, with my company RPM Promotions, I have higher expectations that one day I'm probably going to promote a Grand National race somewhere, and I think I've got the knowledge and the background, and know a lot of people in the industry that can back me on that, and I think RPM Promotions has a lot of good stuff in the future to come.
Well, and I think that's part of it too, is being a connection and being an old Grand National racer yourself. You got those people in the connections, and like you said earlier, you got on something guys you used to race with, now their kids are racing. Well, you put on one of these amateur events, who says that these guys might not come,
Right.
And you've had Moorhead showed up to one of your deals last year, and some of these guys, and just to get their kids, or this the all around aspects with the mini classes. I mean, it's a win-win, and I think there's some good things coming too. For
it is. We had I think 115 racers at Van Wert, and a lot more than what we originally expected, and with Steve Moorhead being there, coming over and supporting the venue, that was a big deal.
Was he sponsored by Ben Gay that day?
I don't know.
Casey's listening. We got to fire
Ben Gay or Viagra, I don't know. But
see if he kicks another cone now.
Right. So no, he came over and he rode the Old Bull Taco that somebody put him on, and he had an XR 750. Somebody put him on over there, and it was pretty cool to see him back on an XR having fun around the Van Wert fairgrounds over there for sure.
Well, and for our listeners, like a question, some of them said they got in a little late on the conversation. This weekend, Saturday, Paulding, Ohio. I mean, it's a good time to check this out. And I know you got a Facebook page that you do well with.
RPM Promotions LLC Facebook page. You can look at all the updates for the upcoming events there and see how this weather plays out for this weekend.
I got the weather covered for you now.
You do? Okay.
Let everybody know what the time is going to be.
Perfect. Saturday, April 14th, gates are going to, spectator gates are going to open at 2 o'clock. Okay. It's $10 for 7 and up, and kids 6 and under are free. And we're going to go into the practice at 2:30, and heat races start at 5 o'clock. And then we've got main event starting at 7:30.
And I know we got. I guarantee you. I know we got some riders, some racers listening too. What's your entry fees if they want to come down and bring their bike down and race?
Yeah, absolutely. The gate fee for everybody to get in the pits, riders and their crew members, are $20.
Well, that's not bad at all
per person, and then entry. The entry to participate is $40 for the entry fee per class. And like I said, we got 15 classes going on, so you're going to see several riders, wanting to get that extra seat time.
Oh, yeah.
So they're going to enter in 2 or 3.
I'm going to say some of them will run more than one class.
Absolutely, and I think how I have it, I think we're going to pay back 50% of the entry fee for some purse money. The pros that will show up, and I think we're going to have a good turnout with some pros. They're getting paid back 100% out of their entry, and then the other classes, I got trophies for them. And we got a couple good vendors that are going to be there, so there'll be plenty of food on hand, and like I said, should be a great show, and I'm looking forward to getting this thing rolling off the ground in Paulding, and look forward to having maybe 2 or 3 more this year.
That'd be awesome. Now, is Napoleon Harley Davidson bringing any Harleys over, any bikes to show off?
Well, I'm not quite for sure yet. That's up to Shelly and Jim over there at the Harley shop.
Well, you never know.
Yeah, you never know. So, but like I said, Napoleon Harley Davidson, can't say enough about them. Such a great group of people over there, and for them to come on board and be the title sponsor, man, you got to go check out their variety of motorcycles and apparel. It's a great Harley Davidson shop, and I've been to a lot of Harley shops across the country, and in my days of racing pro, and man, I'll put that Harley shop at one of the top best I've been at.
Oh yeah, definitely. And once again, it's RPM Promotions this Saturday, and if you can't make this Saturday, Jeff's got a couple shows in Van Wert, one in Peru, Indiana, and working on more. And that's what I like. He'll put some pictures up of places he's looking at too, and gets a lot of feedback. So man, we wish you all the best of luck, and I plan on getting some of these.
Yeah, well, you know what? Like I said, I appreciate you having me on, and it's nice to get the word out there, and get the communities involved.
Yes.
And I think people from Toledo, Ohio, and Fort Wayne, Indiana, and the surrounding areas, it'd be a good event to come out and watch, and watch all these guys go fast around that Paulding half mile.
Oh, definitely. And we was doing a little survey. Or I did a little study just on our Facebook page from towns, and our top 10 towns. Indianapolis is our 5th biggest listening area, hitting on our Facebook page. So any of you guys in the Indy area want to see some flat track motorcycle racing, I know us sprint car fans got a lot of things going over there this week as a lot of tracks open, but you don't get to see flat track motorcycles hardly any times, once or twice a year. So you're bringing that back to the areas, and man, go support these events. Jeff's, like I said, for this to succeed, need some butts in the seats, and hopefully everybody listening will go over there for $10 and watch. I know of some people I've been talking to the last couple of weeks. When I told them, last week when we decided he was coming on the show, I talked to 3, 4, 5 people right then that day, and they're like, "Who's on the show next week?" And they're like, "Man, we didn't even know that was going on.
Yeah,
we're gonna go over there." So
well, and I've done some other media work and putting flyers up. Going to the old roots and putting flyers up in gas stations and markets, and just trying to get the word out there best I can. And Facebook's a huge social media deal. I know we've been doing some advertising on there, and so hopefully we get a packed grandstands, and I know that weather word. I know you've got it covered, so we're good there, and I'm holding him to that.
That's right.
And like I said, I'm perfect. No gloves. 75 and sunny.
Jim comes.
I think there's a song out there.
That's
75 and sunny.
Jim's got a black eye Monday. I'll send you guys a picture.
Yep. So, like I said, man, we're looking forward to it, and really appreciate you guys having me on, and it's been a pleasure, and I look forward to seeing everybody out there Saturday. That's awesome.
And hey, as the season goes on, get some, maybe we can do this again.
Absolutely. You know, I've got some more upcoming events.
Yes.
That, you know,
We'd love to announce those
Hey,
for you.
you know, Fort Wayne's only an hour drive, so
Right.
it's not that bad. I got to see snowflakes come down
Right.
in the middle of April, you know, so it's kind of nice. Just take a nice little
There
road
you go.
trip and come over here.
That's
Sounds
right.
good. And with that, that'll wrap it up for today. On the Throttle, brought to you every week at this time, right here on the Q, by your local Napa Auto Parts store here in Bryan, by Suburban Automotive, AJ Door, Brian Ford Lincoln, Jason Dees Customs Collisions Trailer and Trailer Repair, and Fast Forward Motorsports. And everybody needs to get out and do a little flat track racing this week.
That's right.
Because it's going to be nice and sunny. Get your shorts out. Okay, maybe a sweater for the evening. And past that, it should be a great event. Thanks for coming by, Jeff.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Just before 1 o'clock here on the Q, 96.5 FM.
That's the one guy.